Hi there, my name is Dr. Khalid and I'm a family physician in London, and recently I've started watching Scrubs again. I wanted to go back to the very first episode and kind of break it down to you, telling you how accurate it is and whether it gives a realistic depiction of starting life as a junior doctor. So let's get started.
Since I was a kid, I've been able to sleep through anything. Storms, sirens, you name it. Last night I didn't sleep.
No matter how confident you are, starting your first day in the hospital is super scary, and I remember the first few nights for me, I was getting no sleep. I was just jacked up with adrenaline, thinking about, do I even remember embryology? What was stage 3 of the Krebs cycle? Do you take the tourniquet off before you take the needle out? You are basically the rabbit in the headlights, or is it deer in the headlights? You are a wild animal in the headlights. A lot of people are going to be in exactly the same situation, so I wouldn't really worry too much about it. Try and get some sleep if you can, but also know that you probably aren't going to get any sleep, so meh, whatever.
Life can be so unpredictable, and if they had to do it all again.
And 4 years of pre-med, 4 years of med school, and tons of unpaid loans have made me realize one thing.
Good. Could you go drop an NG tube on the patient in 234 and call the attending if the lavage is positive?
I don't know jack.
I love that. That is such an iconic start, and it so sums up your first time on call. You are just walking around and you don't know really where things are in the hospital. You've got nurses that have been working there for 20 odd years having to come to you to say, can you do that? And knowing that you probably don't know what you're doing. A famous x-ray scene. In the beginning, the writers said that actually that was something they intended for the x-ray to be backwards. So everybody thought, fantastic, look at these super clever people who've made this really witty, wacky TV show. But actually a podcast that Zach Braff and I'm going to call him Turk because embarrassingly I don't know his name. They've made recently where they break down episode by episode of the show. They've said actually it was an error from the prop guy and they kind of just winged it.
I'm a tool. I'm a tool. I'm a tool, an unbelievably annoying tool. Yeah, finally. These are your beepers. From now on, they control your entire life.
So true.
Okay.
I mean, the sound of the bleepers, and we call them bleeps in the UK, is ingrained, it's sketched into my mind. Do you know how your morning alarm is just not a nice noise? Doesn't matter if you put an amazing song, from your favourite band, immediately that song is just null and void.
Did you actually just page me to find out how much Tylenol to give to Mrs. Lenzner?
I was worried that it could exacerbate the patient's...
It's regular strength Tylenol. Here's what you do. Get her to open her mouth, take a handful, and throw it at her. Whatever sticks, that's the correct dosage.
So, yeah, don't listen to Dr. Cox, but the scenario there, I've done it myself. I was absolutely scared to prescribe anything strong painkiller-wise because I was like, morphine, Jesus Christ. It becomes, a bit of a thing where you're like, okay, well, the first thing I can do in most scenarios is go for paracetamol, Tylenol.
We need to know if your gas could be harmful to others. He's just scared. Talk to him.
Look, Mr. Bursky, I heard a systolic murmuring in your heart, which is most likely nothing. But if you don't let me check you out, I'm gonna worry about you all day.
And I'll do it for you.
You're a good man.
Beautifully captures what you can do as a junior doctor. So you may not have all of the medical knowledge that your seniors have, or the practical skills that they might have, but what you can and you definitely have are the communication skills that medical school has drilled into you to be able to speak to patients, to find out what are their worries, what are their fears. And I think that's where you can set yourself apart if you can give a good quality of care, and you will always learn the practical skills and the knowledge will always come.
My first code. See, here's how it works. Someone's heart fails, they beep everyone. The first doctor in has to run the room, tell everyone what to do, basically decide if the patient lives or dies. What, am I crazy?
Ah! You chicken.
Nope.
Okay, so that part doesn't actually happen, hopefully. But the crash bleep is an important time, and my advice would be it's best not to super sprint it, because when you arrive there, you're going to be out of breath. Doesn't matter if you're Usain Bolt, you're going to be a little bit out of breath. So yes, get there as quick as you can, but do save yourself from being breathless and kind of gather your thoughts. What am I going to do? We go through the ABCD pathway, and it's important that you kind of just mentally running through that. Got the sterile field there. This scene is one of my favourite of Scrubs of all time because it captures being on call so much. It's this kind of dreamlike experience. You're first on call, you're stressed, you're doing things you've never done before, you have to do things that you didn't think you would be doing at this stage. So it is so accurate, it's so on point.
He crashed. The attending thinks it was a pulmonary embolism. No way anyone could have caught it. Anyhow, you have to pronounce him.
Why didn't anybody page me?
So, fortunately, death is a part of our job, and no matter how good of a doctor you are, at some point your patient will die, and I guess we all deal with it differently. So I remember the first patient that died that I looked after, and you couldn't help but feel slightly guilty. Could I have done more? Could A, B or C could have been done quicker? Was it my fault? And I think the conclusion I've always had is the first few deaths that you see, you will feel some personal attachment to it, but what happens is with hospital life, as you move forward, it becomes a part of it, unfortunately, and you do see people die. You do become a bit more objective about these things.
Time of death 0200.
Ah, okay, so it doesn't quite happen like that. You can't just confirm death like, hey, they're dead. First of all, talk to them. So you say, hello, Mr. Johnson, can you hear me? You can then do something called the trapezius pinch, where you just pinch them in the shoulder muscle there. And that's, again, trying to elicit a response through painful stimuli to see if there's any signs of life. You move on to feel for the carotid pulse, so the pulse just in the neck there. And you do that for about a minute. And then the way we do it is you need to listen to the heart, and you need to listen for breath sounds around the chest, and that needs to be done in a total of 5 minutes. So maybe 2 minutes for heart sounds and 3 minutes for breath sounds, and then lastly you then move on to the pupillary response to light. You need a pentorch for that, so you shine a light into the eyes and there should be no response to the light.
Scared every second. Really? It's a good thing they make surgical masks, because if they didn't, everyone would know that my face is like this the whole time.
I love how it touches on the imposter syndrome there, and I think we've all kind of been there, whether it's through med school or as a doctor. You always feel as if I don't know enough and I need to know more, but I actually would argue that that's actually a good thing, because you're more likely to act like a sponge and use and pick up information, whereas if you're a bit cocky, a little bit arrogant, and you think you've got it and you think you know, that's when you're going to make the mistakes.
You have to do this.
JD, cut him or lose him.
Okay, give me the tube.
He is putting in a chest drain, presumably because this person has had some trauma, so there will be some blood in the lungs, and what you're doing is putting a drain in, essentially taking out the blood and relieving the pressure in the lungs, allowing the patient to breathe. So I think it's so difficult because Dr. Cox is often perceived as the mean doctor in Scrubs, but actually some of the best teaching I've had have been from the mean doctors in the hospital and the senior doctors who may seem a bit jaded. He's kind of been through it, seen everything, and knows the dark sides of hospital life, knows the bureaucracy behind everything. But if you have a look at this episode, Dr. Cox is the one that actually helps him, gives him the confidence at the end to do something. So some of the best teaching I've had have been from registrars who have been notoriously difficult and strict and hard to approach, but they actually, when it comes down to difficult situations, they will do fantastic teaching. So always be open to be taught and take it from there.
You see, I can't survive on my own.
I'm a dork. I'm a dork. I'm a dork.
Even now, when I finally get to go home, in the back of my head, I'll know the hospital's still here, wide awake.
Such a good point. When you finish your shift, you feel as if, I'm leaving these patients behind, and that's a cute little concept to have as a junior doctor, somebody first starting. But the hospital is like a metropolis. It's got its own heartbeat, it's got its own life, and it's 24/7. It's just ongoing, and you're just a little piece in the whole segment. So as long as you can hand over, you should try and kind of detach yourself and go home and relax. Whereas at the beginning it's so difficult to do that. At the beginning you feel as if, like, if I don't get this done by this period of time, then I have failed. But no, hospital life is difficult. You will run over time, but the important thing is once you've finished, you need to give yourself that break to go and relax and do what you want. Watch Scrubs, play video games, chill out.
The important thing is that I got through my first 3 days without looking like a complete idiot.
Brilliant. That is one of the best episodes, I think, of Scrubs ever, and that's the pilot, so it started so strongly. Now, time for my arbitrary score system. I think I need to give it a name, but arbitrary score system is what we're going for at the moment. So for the medical accuracy, I think Scrubs is probably going to get a 6. It shows that some of the procedures not fantastic, but you know, the acidic tap was a bit. When it comes to life as a doctor, I think Scrubs is right up there as one of the best shows. So I would say a 9 out of 10. How did I come up with that? I don't know, but does it really matter? Probably not. So 9 out of 10. And entertainment factor, it's funny. It's about medicine, and I love medical shows, and it's got some truth in it, so I'd say entertainment is up there as well, 9 out of 10. So if we combine those scores, we get a score of, I'm going to say Scrubs gets an 8 overall, which means it's got good accuracy, good depiction of everything, and it's a solid 8. IMDb 8, it's a definite good watch. So that's been Scrubs Season 1, Episode 1. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you want me to do more TV shows, then give me a shout in the comments. Tell me which ones you want me to do. Yes, House, Grey's Anatomy, I know people will be quite keen, but also if there are really cool episodes of Scrubs that you want me to go through and break down, then I'm more than happy to do that. Give me a shout in the comments, drop this a like, give us a share, and we will see you on the next episode. Peace out.